Well, hi everybody. Welcome to TapRooT TV today. And Benna gave us permission to do this without her this time. So it'll be myself, Ken Reed, and Chris Valley.
Yep. I
And
think she's trick-or-treating.
I think that's what she's doing. Yeah, it's on our Halloween day. So we're going to talk a little bit today about a topic that we've discussed a couple times in the past, but we want to make sure is very clear and can be really helpful to our customers. So we want to look at other ways of using TapRooT. And Chris, I know you were making some calls and talking to some of your customers.
Yeah, so I mean, this topic today started off with a couple phone calls. So what we do with our students, if you've ever attended one of our classes, we follow up with you before the course, after the course. If you have any questions and investigations, we're almost like mentoring. And we want to make sure you stay engaged. Because just like any expert process, you stop using it, you lose it.
That's right.
And,
Yep.
and you don't want to go, hey, I have a big problem. What is TapRooT? So we call, and it was amazing. I had a trend of calls that were like, hey, Chris, glad to hear from you. That was a fun class. We were really using it, but I don't have to use it anymore. It's like, what do you mean you don't have to use it anymore? Your company still has a TapRooT license. You still have training. Oh, I don't do that job anymore. I said, well, what do you do? They were like,
Well,
project
I'm not in health and
management.
safety anymore.
Yeah.
I'm in project
Yeah,
management.
project management, engineering. I said, yeah, there's never any problems with project management, right? Well, yeah. I said, well, that's a TapRooT. That's if you have a bottleneck in a project and you lose time on something, or or you're in supply management and you lose a part,
That's
or the
right.
part you don't get the right part in time. Those are causal factors.
Right.
So, I mean, once TapRooT, always TapRooT. It never goes away. It's always there.
Yeah.
So, and you know what's funny is that a lot of safety accidents that we've used TapRooT for, we found problems in the engineering blueprint. We found problems in the training. We
That's right.
found problems with the tools that were issued through supply. So guess what? The jobs we're at now are sometimes what created the causal factor for a safety accident.
The safety ones, yeah. A lot of people start off using TapRooT for, well, they have a reason, right? It's in their jobs, and they're a safety person, or they're an environmental person, or whatever it is. And for some reason, we get ourselves blocked thinking that's what TapRooT is for, is that job. But it's important to keep in mind that you can use a good root cause analysis system to really make sure you understand mistakes that people make, no matter what kind of job they're doing. There's very few times that TapRooT doesn't work. I always tell people, any place people make mistakes, you can use TapRooT to figure that out. And that really opens up your thoughts a little bit about where in your company you may be having issues or opportunities for improvement. So, safety issues obviously is a very simple one to picture in your mind. That's an easy one. But there's a lot of other times that you can use TapRooT to kind of ensure that you're understanding the problems and then applying great root causes and corrective actions.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, for example, Ken and I, we love equipment troubleshooting. He spent time underwater in submarines. I spent time fixing aircraft that sometimes I get to fly in the aircraft we fixed, or we were fixing it on the ground trying to figure out what happened.
Right.
Now, if you walk past our office and you hear pump, bubbles, pressure, and you're not an equipment person, you know to avoid our offices. Now, but however, I always taught the word troubleshooting. I was actually doing good root cause analysis years ago before I even knew TapRooT. So what are some of the problems you've used in TapRooT, or some weird things you've used equipment-wise?
Yeah, so you can imagine there's again, you're in our classes and in our final exercises, people bring stuff from their companies to do TapRooT investigations on, and there's a lot of safety stuff and a lot of those kind, but I get quite a few equipment type problems, right. And I know there was an issue one time when they were trying to figure out a problem where they overpressurized a line while they were, it was a pipeline that they were running a pig through, and they overpressurized the line. And they were going through trying to figure out where this pig was, where it made mistakes. If you're not familiar with that, that's just a piece of equipment that runs through the pipe to either inspect or clean the pipe. And because you don't want to send people through that pipe, so you just send a little robot that goes through. And they were really focused initially when they first started their snap chart. They thought, this is going to be a problem with this pig. We got to figure out what the problem is with this thing. When they were done, the piece of equipment had this really minor little issue,
Right.
but the operational and the other issues that
Right.
came up out of the root causes is really where the problems came up. And they initially didn't even think this really required a TapRooT investigation initially because they already knew the answer. It was a bad piece of equipment. And yet when they went into it, it was amazing the improvements they were able to make once they recognized that there's some human error also built into that.
Well, it was interesting. All of a sudden, my mind pegged to something when you said overpressure in a pipe. Now, that's equipment troubleshooting. That's broke, replace. But every equipment failure is an opportunity to make the system better, more efficient, and safer.
Right.
For example, you just talked about overpressurization. Now let's relate equipment problem if it may have been troubleshooted properly using TapRooT up front. What's a big safety incident that now comes to mind dealing with overpressurization of pipes?
Yeah, so up in Boston, right? They just blew a lot of houses up there, and that was an overpressurization problem where they did some maintenance and didn't quite do the maintenance properly and blew seals on a whole bunch of pieces of equipment. Right.
And there was a sequence. So once they understood what the problem was, part of TapRooT with safety is, did you respond properly to the injury? Did you respond properly to the environmental spill?
Right.
Well, there were multiple breakdowns because of the parts that were overpressurized that over time weren't replaced in time or caught in time.
That's right.
So there were small explosions because of the mitigation. Well, in TapRooT, if you think about equipment troubleshooting, you have to operational check things once you put them together, once you break them down, and you have to test the system, not just test that little valve you replaced. Well, if you don't do that properly and the equipment fails again, that would be a causal factor in a safety accident, just like it is in an equipment accident.
That's right. So yeah, we encourage you to kind of think across your company, where else do I have problems? You can go look at your audit programs, which don't just audit safety issues; they audit other problems. Take a look at you probably, if you're the face of the customer, if you're out there talking to customers a lot, you probably keep track of customer complaints.
Yep.
You know, why do I keep having customer complaints? Why on this particular product that we're selling do I get a higher volume of customer questions? Maybe not complaints, but questions. And maybe the problem is again, that's not a safety issue, and yet that directly affects our bottom line as our company, is why our customers are not as happy with us as they could be.
Well, I mean, I just had this conversation with my dad. This is where a customer complaint. So anyone who works in the service industry, you don't like customer complaints, and some are worse than others. Well, I had this conversation with my dad the other day, and he says, they sent me a gas bill that was too high. There's no way I use this. As a matter of fact, it looks just like last month's gas bill. Mm-hmm. So he calls up all unhappy. And they said, well, it's because of safety issue. You have a sign on your fence that says dog in yard. He says, but they know that they have a key to the gate, and they know that when the dogs are outside or inside. I said, but this might have been a new person. Mm-hmm. So here's a safety policy of being bit by a dog, that it's completely okay to go, I'm not going in there, even if there's already protocols set up.
That's right.
And then you get a high bill. So that's a TapRooT investigation. It's a customer complaint. It's accurate readings. It's prediction for how much gas is going to use for the next month. All that's tied together when safety, operations, and equipment talk to each other.
That's right.
And so important to use these for TapRooT for other items.
TapRooT for customer complaints is one that I think is an underutilized method of using TapRooT. You can look at customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction in a couple different ways. Obviously, we want our customers to be happy, and yet sometimes we get the best results and the happiest customers after we fixed one of their initial issues. So when a customer calls in with a problem, and you're able to do a good analysis on it and fix that problem, you actually have sometimes a happier customer than they would have if they hadn't called in the first place.
Doubt.
So there's a great opportunity there to use TapRooT outside of your normal thoughts, just the standard ways of using TapRooT. And we encourage you to take a look at that and see where else in your company you can take a look at that and apply the same techniques. The techniques really aren't any different depending on the situation. You do it exactly the same way. You collect data the same way. causal factors are about the same, and the root cause analysis is identical.
Now you know somewhere else where people from different companies who use TapRooT in different manners show up. So we have operations people, we have safety people, we have environmental people, we have security people from multiple industries, and they're all going to be in one place soon.
During our public courses, we do those,
and
at the summit we have them there. So we have our summit coming up next year in March, and that's a great opportunity to kind of see how maybe you're thinking in the safety issue, or maybe you're an environmental problem, or maybe you are a quality person. And think about, well, how else are people using TapRooT? And there's probably not a better forum and mixture of different experiences than you'll see at the summit next year.
Well, we have the performance excellence track, which is dealing with more than the quality side. We have the equipment track. We have safety. We have human performance. And human performance goes across multiple industries. An aircraft wing is going to leak if I have trouble putting sealant in that area to keep it from leaking. A part that's hard to put in is a human performance issue, and it's probably not going to be torqued properly. All this ties together in a timeline called a snap chart, which is why just don't wait for the safety. Just because it's not on your matrix that says, thou shall use TapRooT every time for this incident. Because there's never one problem I've investigated where this equipment problem didn't show up, this service problem didn't show up before, this integration between safety and service compliance and equipment didn't show up before. But it may be the first time that some of the things were ever touched with TapRooT.
That's right. So we encourage you to take a look at that. Like Chris said, the summit's probably a great idea. That's going to be next March out in just outside of Houston. So if you haven't looked at that yet, please, our website's up, registration's ready to go, and it's just a great opportunity to again, get outside of your normal stovepipe, see how other people are using the system, and we're happy to talk to you about that. We're also happy if you have questions about how TapRooT works and how you might use it in different areas. We have some experts here at the office who are in different different specialties. So give us a call. We're happy to help you with that. You can go to our website, taproot.com, and you can email us at info@taproot.com. Any of those methods are great ways to get a hold of us, and we're happy to give you some great ideas on how to use TapRooT beyond just the safety and health and environmental kind of problems. So
cool.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris.
Awesome.
It was great having you here again today. And we look forward to talking to you guys again next Wednesday. And I don't remember what the topic is next Wednesday, but it'll be a good one. So.
I can do a TapRooT on memory.
Yeah, I know what'll come up there. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. Bye-bye now.